previous video I explained you application of derivative. In that video I try to explain you how to apply the geometrical meaning of application of derivative to solve problem. That means we found the equation of the normal and the tangent, right? Okay, so in this video I hope to explain you the second application, right? Sketching curve, right? Sketching curve, that means I try to explain you how to sketch a complicated curve step by step. And this question you can see in LOL paper, combined one paper in part B as the question number 14, right? So we will go to the next slide. Right. Before I just go to the question, I want to explain you certain factors, right? So one by one I will move and finally we'll try to sketch complicated curve, right? So the first thing I want to explain here, how you can recognize an increasing function, right? If I say like this, when the variable x increasing, when x is increasing, if y also increase, when x is increasing, if y also increases, we say for the such functions we say increasing functions, right? Now if I move my hand, that means now what x is increasing, right? X is increasing, you can see that gradually y coordinate also increasing, right? Gradually y coordinate also increasing. So these kind of functions we say increasing functions, right? So every time we can sketch and see whether the function is increasing or not. For that I'm going to build a relation here. Now you can see I have marked two tangents drawn to the curve at point A and point B, and also I have marked the gradients of those two tangents. This one is theta and this is actually the angle I have marked. Okay, so you can see that this angle is in between 0 and 5 by 2, which is in the first quadrant, right? So if I write like this, theta is in between 5 by 2, and also if I mark beta, sorry, this should be beta, beta also in between 5 by 2, right? That means if I write about tan theta here, tan theta, obviously it is positive, right? It is positive greater than 0, and also tan beta greater than 0, right? Now we know that we can find the gradient of a tangent by differentiating the function. So instead of tan theta I can write derivative of function like this, right? So dy over, I just write like this, dy over dx, right? Here also the same thing, because the beta is in between 0 and 5 by 2. Here also same thing I can write, but dy over dx is greater than 0, right? If we can find this condition, if we can find whether dy over dx is greater than 0 or not, we can conclude that function is increasing function or not, right? So from this what we can pick, we can write a condition, what if dy over dx is greater than 0, we can conclude that the function is increasing function, right? So I will write like this, if dy over dx is greater than 0, then, right, this implies the function is increasing. Function is increasing. Right? Now from this actually we don't want to sketch the function to see whether it is increasing or not, right? Just we can check this and we can conclude. Now I have took the range from A to B, that means x varies from A to B. In this range we can say that the function is increasing, right? So that is regarding increasing function. What about the decreasing function, right? look at this diagram. Now if I write when x increasing, right, when x move from A to B, right, when x move from A to B, we can see that y coordinate is decreasing, right, that means y is decreasing. Therefore this kind of functions we say decreasing functions, right. Decreasing functions, right. So how we can recognize this? I will conduct the explanation in the same way which I have done previously. Now you can see I have drawn two tangents to this curve at these 2 points, and also I have marked the angles which have been made with the positive x-axis. So here you can see that that is an obtuse angle. So theta, if I write about beta first, beta is in between 5/2 and 5 because it is in the second quadrant, and also same manner I can write about theta. Theta also in between 5/2 and 5. Right? This says what? They are in the second quadrant. We know that if we take the tan ratio, tan beta, in the second quadrant, tan ratio is negative, right? So this is negative, and also tan theta, that is also negative, right? These two says what, right? We know that by taking the derivative of function we can find the gradient of the tangents. Actually tan beta and tan theta are the gradients of these two tangents. Therefore, if we find dy over dx, that means if we take the first derivative of the function, if the first derivative is negative, what we can conclude? We can conclude the function is decreasing in the given range, right? Therefore, we can conclude the function is decreasing. Function is decreasing, right? So keep in your mind, this will be applicable for in the next discussion. So if we can find dy over dx greater than 0, we can say that the function is increasing. If dy over dx is less than 0, we can say the function is decreasing, right? Now I'm going to do an example. Describe the behavior of the function. This is the function, a complicated function. The very first thing I should do here, differentiate the function with respect to x, and I have to apply here quotient rule. v du minus u dv over v square, that formula I want to apply. So v mean the denominator, u mean the numerator of the rational function. So I will start. So v du mean we have to differentiate the numerator. Once we differentiate this numerator, you can see that the answer will be 1. And then minus, we keep the numerator and then differentiate the denominator. If we differentiate this one, I open a bracket, this will be 2x, and then plus 2, and the constant will be vanished with the differentiation. So this is the end of the derivative, and finally the quotient contains, denominator contains x square plus 2x plus 2 complete square of that v square, right? Okay, so further I will simplify this. X square plus 2x plus 2. Then if I multiply the brackets, I can write 2x squared plus 2x, again plus 2x and plus 2. The numerator contains this expression, right? So I can simplify square terms together. So I get minus x squared, and this plus 2x, and this 2x can be cancelled with the minus, and also this plus 2 and this minus 2 can be cancelled. So finally they are remaining minus 2x. This is equal the square of this term, right? So further I can take minus x out. It is just x squared plus 2x plus 2 complete square of that. This is what I found here, dy over dx, right? Now I'm going to check the behavior. So for that I want to separate the x-axis into regions, right? That means from here to here the behavior of the function, and from here to there the behavior of the function. For that the special points are there. They are called stationary points. Anyway, in the next slide I will explain you stationary points. I just take the stationary points to check the behavior here. So according to this question, stationary points are what? X equals 0 and x equal minus 2, right? So I will do like this. Here just I try to draw the x-axis. The stationary points I picked for this case is x equals 0. So I mark that one as 0. And the other point is x equals minus 2, right? X equals minus 2. Somewhere I just mark it is minus 2, right? So this region I can write actually. Now you can see that x-axis has been separated into 3 regions. Now I'm going to check the behavior of this function in those 3 regions, right? So how can we name this region? This region I can name it as x less than minus 2, right? X less than minus 2. So here I will write the second region. It is in between minus 2 and 0. So minus 2 x. That means x is in between minus 2 and 0. The other one is, you can see it is x greater than 0, right? So we'll check the behavior in these 3 regions. For that we want to check the sign of the derivative function, right? Sign of dy over dx. Right. Now if you look at dy over dx, the derivative function already there is minus, right? Already there is minus. So we want to check. Now if you look at the denominator, that is obviously positive. So no need to worry about the denominator. That is obviously positive. So I write like this. The denominator is positive, right? So there is a minus. And what about this x? In this region, you can see that x less than minus 2 means all the x values are negative. That means the sign of x is negative, right? So that sign negative and this negative become positive, right? What about this bracket? It says x less than minus 2. That means, for example, if I take minus 3, if I put minus 3 here, the answer will be minus 1. So the sign of the bracket will be minus. Now, as earlier I said, the minus x become positive and this become negative. That means the numerator in this range become negative, right? So finally we know that negative positive become again negative. So in this range the derivative dy over dx become negative. So if derivative become negative mean in this range the function is decreasing, right? Therefore I can write the function is decreasing in this region. Function is decreasing. Right? In this region the function is decreasing. Now we will move to the next region. So dy over dx, I am going to find the sign of dy over dx in this region. As I said the denominator sign is positive, right? We'll find out the numerator sign. It is minus already there. Now we'll find out the sign of x. It is in between minus 2 and 0. So, but it is actually less than 0, right? That means it is obviously minus, right? So, sign of the x is minus, and this with this minus that become plus. Now we will find out the sign of the bracket. So for that I just try to replace here. I take a number in between these two. I take minus 1, right? Minus 1. If I put minus 1 here, minus 1 plus 2 become plus, right? Plus 1. That means the sign of the bracket become plus. Here also I found the multiply of these two signs plus, and this is also plus. That means altogether in the numerator we can see the plus sign. So plus plus become again plus. That means greater than 0. Okay, greater than 0. That means in this region you can see the derivative function gets the positive answer. That means in this region it is the function, the behavior of the function is increasing, right? So therefore I can conclude function is increasing. It is increasing. And the last region I will see x greater than 0. So I'm going to find the sign of dy over dx. So as I said, the denominator sign is positive and there is a minus, right? So the sign of x greater than 0 means positive values. That means sign of x is also positive. And the bracket, sign of bracket, here if I put number 1, right, as an example, so the answer of the bracket will be plus 3. So here also plus, here also plus, but there is a minus in front. Therefore, the sign of the numerator become minus, right? Now you can see minus into plus become minus again. That means dy over dx in this region gets negative. That means the function is decreasing. Function is decreasing, right? So this is the way how we can check the behavior. Okay, this is the one a very basic step for sketching curve. We will move on to the next part. As the next thing I want to introduce you, there are special points in the curve, right? So you can see the name, they are called stationary points or the critical points, right? So now we'll find out how to find these stationary points or the critical points, right? So then I read the definition here for the stationary points. If there is a point called x equals c such that f dash c equals 0, then the point c is known as a stationary point. So what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? F dash c equals 0 means f dash x means the derivative function says the gradient of the tangent drawn to the curve. If the gradient becomes 0, that means that tangent is parallel to the x-axis, right? So in here in the diagram you can see that a curve has drawn. I have drawn a curve, and also red color line shows the tangent drawn to the curve at this point, right? And you can see that this tangent is parallel to the x-axis, and this tangent has drawn. I take the point x equals c, right? So at this point you can see that the behavior of the function has been changed, right? Now from here to here the function is decreasing, and after this point the function start to increase. Therefore this point x equals c, point c is called stationary point. When we talking about the point, there should be x coordinate and the y coordinate, right? once we have the idea about this stationary, the point x coordinate, we can find y coordinate also, right? Now we will try to do an example to have understanding how to find the critical points, right? Now we are going to find the stationary points of this function. The function is given, and what we should do, the very first thing, we should differentiate the function with respect to x, right? So I am going to find f dash x, right? Very easy, part by part we can take the derivative here. So if I differentiate x cube, 1/3 is there. So derivative of x cube is 3x squared, and this plus derivative of this 2x minus 3, the constant will be vanished with the derivative, right? So this is the derivative function. If I simplify, these two can be cancelled. Now you can see the derivative function is a quadratic of x. Right. Okay, this is f dash x. Right. For further easy simplification, I just separate this one into the factors. X, and I can write this is 3 times 1 to build. So these are the two factors. To find the critical points, we know that at the critical points the derivative becomes 0. Derivative means the gradient of the tangent. Gradient becomes 0 means derivative function should be equal to 0. To find the stationary points, what we should do, once we found the derivative function, we should equate the derivative function to 0 to find the critical points, right? So therefore, I just equate f dash x, this function, to 0, right? That means x plus 3 and x minus 1 should be equal to 0. So we know how to solve these things. So I can write x equals minus 3 and x equals 1, right? So there are two critical points for this function. First one is at x equals minus 3, the other one is x equals 1. Now we will try to find the critical point here. Okay, so I am going to find the critical point for this case, right? So I write when x equals minus 3, right? I am going to find the y coordinate. To find the y coordinate, what you should do, you have to bring this minus 3 to the initial function. So here, this can be written as to the power 3, and then plus squared minus 3 times minus 3 and plus 5, right? So if I simplify, I can cancel this 3 and 1 3 from this, but there is minus here, so the answer is what, minus 9, and here plus 9, and here again plus 9 plus 5, right? These two can be cancelled, so the answer is 14, right? So the first stationary point is minus 3 comma 14. The other stationary point is x equals 1, right? When x equals 1, we can find y from the initial function. Everywhere I have to put 1. So the answer, when x equals 1, here just I can write 1/3 and plus 1 minus 3 plus 5, right? If I simplify this further, so minus 3 here 6, that means 1/3 plus 3, so this becomes what, 10 over 3, right? So the stationary points I can write stationary points. First one is minus 3 comma 14. The other one is 1 comma 10 over 3. Right? So at these stationary points there should be a turning of the graph, right? Okay, there should be a turning. So therefore these points are called stationary, right? We will move to the next part of this lesson. Okay. Right. Now when we sketching a curve, the curve can have a minimum and the maximum, that means curve shapes like this. So the next thing I'm going to teach you how to find the minimum and the maximum points, right? Actually in the previous part I explained you how to find the stationary points. So you can see that stationary point is a point where it changed, where the graph changed the behavior, that means increasing, decreasing concepts, right? So now exact theory I'm going to show you how to select which one is maximum and which one is the minimum out of those stationary points, right? For that, two tests have been introduced here. The first called first derivative test, and another one is called second derivative test. You can use either one of those tests, right? Okay, so first I will introduce you the first derivative test here, right? Now the derivative test contains two conditions, one for the maximum, the other one for the minimum, right? So I will start with the maximum one. Now if I read the definition here, if the derivative of a function f dash of f is positive, if the derivative of the function that we dy over dx is positive in a region in an interval a to c and negative in the interval c to b, and then we say that f has a relative maximum at x equals c, right? Let me to show you that using a diagram. So here I have marked x-axis, right? So x-axis I'm going to separate using these two intervals. So the interval starting from here, the basic interval, it is a to b. I just mark a here and then b here, and in between a and b there is one more point called c, right? So here the first interval talking a to c, and the second interval talking here b to c, right? Now we actually be checking the behavior in between a to c and c to b. Now if I take the first point here, the derivative of f is positive in the interval, right? In this interval, if the derivative of function is positive, that means dy over dx is positive, right? Positive means it is an increasing function, that means the function is increasing in this interval. If I draw a sketch, right, the function is increasing, right? The function is, when x is increasing, y also increasing. So in this range the function is increasing, and if I take the second one, the derivative function is negative in the interval c to b. In this from here to here, the derivative function is negative, that means dy over dx is negative. Negative means in this region the function is decreasing. Therefore I can draw the figure like this. So actually this line should spread up to here, right? Anyway, you can see at x equals c, at x equals c, y coordinate gets maximum, right? So this is called actually maximum point, right? So that's why here say f has a relative maximum at x equals c, right? X equals c, there is the maximum. So this is the way how we can recognize whether the particular point, particular stationary point is the maximum or not. That means we have to check the behavior around that point, right? If the behavior looks like this, we can conclude that point is a maximum point, right? So that is the first point in the first derivative test. We will go to the second point. the second point says same value intervals taken here a to c and c to b. Therefore, I first mark those values on the number line a, c, and b. This is x-axis. Okay. Now, in the definition says what? The derivative function of x, that means dy over dx, is negative in the interval a to c. That means I can write like this: dy over dx is negative in this last interval. In this interval, the derivative function gets, it should be negative. Negative. Negative means the function is decreasing. That means when x increasing from a to c, y coordinate is decreasing. So this kind of a shape I can draw up to this level. And then the second sentence says the derivative function is positive in the interval c to b. Right? Positive means if I write dy over dx, that means dy over dx is positive. Positive says when x increasing from c to b, y coordinate is increasing, right? So this kind of shape I can draw for that. Now you can see that when at x equals c, you can see that the y coordinate is y coordinate has the minimum value than the other points, right? Therefore this point we say minimum point, right? So the second point of the first derivative test says what? When a to c, right? When x move from a to c, the function is decreasing, and when x move from c to b, the function is increasing again. So at this point, therefore at this point there is a relative minimum, right? So this is the way how we can pick the stationary point as a minimum point, right? So this is called first derivative test, right? Okay. Right. Now, one more thing I have highlighted here: relative maximum and minimum points. Right? Relative maximum and the minimum points are known as turning points. That means you can see the shape when we talking about the maximum. The function is increasing and turning, and again decreasing. When we take the minimum, it is decreasing and take a turn and increasing. Therefore, those points are called turning points, right? Okay. So now we'll do an example to find out the turning points. That means we're going to differentiate the function. We're going to find the stationary points. Now after that, we're going to decide which point describes the maximum, which point describes the minimum, like that, right? Okay. So I think you can remember same example I took here. Previously also I took the same example. That means we already found what the stationary points, right? If you can remember, I just write those stationary points. We found two stationary points. We'll try to find them out. We go back. Right. These two are the stationary points, minus 3, 14 and 1, 10 over 3. Right? So I will put these. Minus 3, 14. Other one is 1, 10 over 3. Right? Okay. So the way of finding stationary points I already explained you. What you should do here: differentiate this function with respect to x and then equate the derivative function to 0 to find the x values of the stationary points. And by putting those x values to the initial function, you can find the y coordinates. So likewise, already we found the stationary points, right? Now we're going to check which one is the minimum and which one is the maximum, right? We're going to find the turning points here, right? For that, I just separate the x-axis, right? Now everything we doing this lesson based on the x-axis, right? Okay, when x, we actually talking when x changing, what will happen to y, right? So therefore I just take the x-axis and according to these two x coordinates, I separate the x-axis like this. So the last number is -3, the other last number is 1, right? I just took this one and this one for the discussion. Now you can see that the x-axis has been separated into 3 regions. If I name this region, it is actually x less than -3, right? This region I can write, it is bounded between -3 and +1. So I can write like this, and this region it is x greater than 1, right? So like using the stationary points, right, using the x coordinates of these stationary points, we can break the x-axis into these regions, and based on these regions we are going to find the behavior of the derivative function according to the first derivative test, right? For that I'm going to use this table. Okay, so in this table I am going to use 3 columns to represent these 3 regions, and then I will find out the sign, and then we can talk about the sign of the derivative function. So in here as the topic I take the first region, that is x less than -3. The second region is -3 less than x1, and here x greater than 1. Okay, so I'm going to find the sign of dy over dx in these regions. So for easy explanation, I just broke down the function like this. If you can do these things at one, it's better, right? Anyway, I take the first bracket. If I take it is x plus 3. Now I'm going to find the sign of x plus 3 in this region, right? So x is less than -3 mean I pick a value called -4. If I put -4 plus 3, that means I get the minus. So in this region, the sign of first factor is minus, right? And in this region, we'll see the sign of the second factor. So for this also, I just put -4 minus 1. That means again this become minus, right? Now you can see that 2 factors have been multiplied. That means we can multiply the 2 signs, right? Therefore, the sign of derivative function in this range, it is plus. Right? Now we will move to the second region. In the second region, it is in between -1 and -3 at 1. So very easy number is take here 0. Right? That is very easy for me. So I take 0. If I put 0 here, you can see +3. So the sign of the first factor is plus, and then sign of the second factor. If I put 0, you can see the sign is minus. Now we should multiply, right? We should multiply. Plus into minus becomes minus. And then in last region, x greater than 1, so I take the value 2 for that. If I put 2 here, you can see the sign of the first factor become plus. And here, if I put 2 here, sign of the second. So the sign of derivative in the last region, it is plus. Now here we are going to apply the first derivative test actually. So in this region you can see that dy over dx is plus. Plus means the function is increasing, right? So the respective stationary point is at here, right? Here the second point. So I can have the idea by sketching a diagram for this. So plus means increasing, therefore I write this kind of a curve to show that in this region the function is increasing, right? After that you can see as soon as we move to the next region, it has become negative. That means the function is starting to decrease. So here increasing, so this will be a turning point. It gets a turn to go down. That means it will be a decreasing function. and in this region you can see that the function is decreasing, and in this region the function is increasing. So this kind of a shape I can draw. Decreasing at this point, the function take a turn and again start to increase, right? So there is a minimum here and there is a maximum here. Therefore, from the first derivative test we can conclude that at x equals minus 3 there is a relative maximum and at x equals and at x equals 1 there is a relative minimum. This is the way how we can decide whether the stationary point is a maximum point or minimum point. Actually, in the stationary point part, we found the exact point here. We just found the x coordinate, but in there we found the y coordinate. Now we will move to the next topic here. So actually I am talking about stationary points. So now you know two special stationary points. They are called the maximum point and the minimum point. Now using the first derivative test, you know how to find out the stationary point, which stationary points represent the maximum and which one represents the minimum, right? So there is one more stationary point that is neither maximum nor minimum, right? So that actually that point is called non-turning point, or else one more word is used, saddle point, right? If I draw the graph of x cube, right? The graph of x cube, we know the graph of x y is a parabola. So when there is a odd power, the pattern of the graphs we can draw like this. I'm going to show you that. Okay, so I just draw the graph without finalizing anything. I just draw the graph of x cube to introduce this saddle point here, right? So if I draw that graph, the shape of the graph we can draw like this, right? Okay, so the shape of the graph actually, but for the odd powers of x, right? For the odd powers of x, the shape of the graph is like this. Anyway, but I want to explain here the turning point, right? Non-turning point, or that is called saddle point. Now you can see that in this region, right? In this region, if I write about dy over dx, you can see that the function is increasing, right? When x increasing, y coordinate also increasing. Therefore, we can write here dy over dx is greater, right? And if you look at this region, here also you can see when x increasing, y coordinate also increasing. That means dy over dx is increasing, right? Earlier you saw that when one side is increasing, the other side is decreasing. That time we said that there is a maximum, and the second category, when one side is decreasing, the other side is increasing, we said that there is a minimum, right? But in this case you can see in both regions the derivative, the positive, you can see the sign of derivative, that is positive. That means here also increasing, here also increasing. But there is a station, right? There is a station. So this special station is called saddle point, right? This kind of points also you will receive. So when you see what the sign of derivative function in both the side positive, you can realize that there is a saddle point. The other side also can be happen, that means dy over dx negative and here also dy over dx negative. So there also be a saddle point, right? So that is regarding the third type of stationary point, right? Now, as the next thing, I'm going to show you what the second derivative test, right? Now you have the idea about the first derivative test. The second derivative test says three conditions are listing out here. If f dash a, right? A is a special point. It is a is x equal a. At this point, if the derivative function gets 0 and the second derivative at this point gets positive, right? Positive, we say that there is a relative minimum, right? There is a relative minimum. So the second one says if the second point I chose x equals b, at x equals b, f dash b 0 and f double dash, the second derivative gets negative, that means there is a relative maximum, right? So the third condition, at x equals c, the derivative gets 0, the first one, and the second derivative also gets 0. We say that there is a non-turning point, that means there is a saddle point, right? So with these 3 points, we will try to do this example to have understanding how to apply the second derivative test to find out the maximum and the minimum. The example, find the relative maximum and the minimum of the function. The same function I am using for easy explanation. That means we are going to decide whether it is having minimum or maximum at the stationary point using the second derivative test, right? So already we found the first derivative, right? That is x plus 3, x minus 1, this thing we already found. And the stationary points also we already found, okay? There is an error of settings, right? Okay. Anyway, the point is 1, 10 over 3, right? Now, to apply the second derivative test, we should have the understanding about the second derivative. So first of all, I will find that one. So we have f dash x and I'm going to find f double dash. That means I'm going to differentiate this function with respect to x again, right? So keeping the factors will be difficult for me. I just expand the bracket and keep x square. If I simplify, this is plus 2x minus 3, right? Now using that function, I'm going to find the second derivative. So f double dash x, I can write like this. I just differentiate this part. 2x plus, and derivative of this is 2, and the constant will be vanished, right? So this is the second derivative. We have the first derivative. Now these are the two stationary points. We are going to check which one is maximum and which one is minimum. So for that, I want to take x coordinate. I'm going to find when x equals minus 3, right? So when x equals minus 3, what will happen to the first derivative? That means I can write f dash minus 3, right? F dash minus, if you put minus 3 here, this factor becomes 0. That means this is equal to 0. This is equal to 0. What about f double dash? F double dash minus 3. This is the way how the second derivative test leading us, right? So f double dash minus 3, that means this is f double dash. Here instead of x you have to put minus 3. If you put minus 3 here, 2 minus 3 become minus 6. So minus 6 plus 2, that is minus 4. It is minus 4, so it is negative, right? Now we will move back to the definition. Now you can see that at this point f dash is 0 and if the double dash gets negative, we'll see what is the answer. right? So that question is related to second one. F dash is 0 and F double dash is negative. That means we can conclude that there is a relative maximum at that point. Point is x equal minus 3, right? So I can conclude like this. Therefore, at x equals minus 3, there is a maximum. Right. Now we will check the second stationary point. It is at x equals 1. So when x equals 1, I am going to find what f dash 1. F dash 1 means you have to put 1 here. This is f dash. If you put 1, that will be 0. And what about f double dash? F double dash 1. So that you have to use this function. If you put 1 here, so this will be 2. 2 plus 2 means 4. 4 means it is greater. Right? Now we will find out the conclusion for this condition. It is related to the first one. F dash A is 0 and double dash gets positive. We can conclude at that point there is a minimum. Right? So what I can conclude here, therefore, at x equals 1, there is a minimum. Right? Okay, this is the way how we can apply the second derivative test. Right? Okay, so with this, now just summarize what we found here. I just try to explain you how we can check whether the function is increasing or decreasing. And then after that I explain you how to find the stationary points, and then I explain you using the first derivative test, how can we decide whether the stationary point is maximum or minimum, and rather than that there is one more stationary point called saddle point, and you can have the idea how we can find that one also. And finally I explain you how to apply the second derivative test to find the minimum and the maximum functions. Right? When you are doing a question, to identify the minimum and the maximum points, you can use either first derivative test or second derivative test. Right? In the A-level paper, sometimes the paper in the question is highlighting which test you want to use. Most probably it is mentioned about the second derivative test. If you don't see any special word like that, you can use either the first derivative test or second derivative test. Right? Now we go for the question with these ideas. Right? Now the next thing, we're going to sketch the curves. Right? Once you are given the function, how we can do this question step by step. Right? Don't mix up everything. Just write the answer in order, you will get the perfect answer. Right? Okay. So these are the steps you should follow to sketch the graph. Right? These are the steps you should follow. These steps explaining what you want to find before you sketching the curve. Right? First one, find the relative maximum and minimum. That thing I explained you already. Follow the procedure. Find the stationary points using first derivative test or second derivative test. Find the maximum or the minimum. Right? Next one, find the points intersecting the coordinate axis. Normally, when we're sketching a curve, we have seen that the graph cuts the x-axis and the y-axis. Right? So we should find out those special points. Right? I will explain you when I'm doing this question. And the next one, we want to find the vertical asymptotes. And about the asymptotes, when I'm explaining the lesson limits, I just give you an understanding, and anyway I will explain you how to find the vertical and the horizontal asymptotes, and also check the behavior of the curve around those asymptotes. Right? Okay, so we will do this question and we will write the answer according to these steps. Right? Okay. example number 1, the function is a rational function. You can see that. Now the step I follow here, I'm going to find the turning points, right? I didn't write the word stationary because I'm going to find the turning points. Sometimes we may receive non-turning points also. Anyway, I just write the topic like this, okay? So very first thing, we need to find the stationary. For that we have to differentiate the given function with respect to x, right? Before I'm going to derivative part, I just arrange the function for easy format, for easy differentiation. That therefore I just rearrange this function in this. I just remove the bracket. It is x squared minus x minus 6, and this is the function. And then I bring this denominator to the numerator by putting the negative index, negative power, minus x minus 6 minus 1, right? So this is not an essential thing. You can follow the quotient rule also in here. Anyway, for the derivative should be done in the easy way to save the time. That's why I just change the function in that way, right? Okay. Now I just differentiate the function with respect to x, right? There you have to apply the chain rule. There is a minus power, so minus 1. I am applying the chain rule. Then still I am differentiating the power, right, in minus 1 as per the chain, as per the rules. Here the power should be in minus 1, and here minus 1 minus 1 minus 1 means the power will be minus 2. And then after that, according to chain rule, we have to differentiate the function which is inside the bracket. So that is 2x, the derivative of this, minus derivative of this is 1, and this will be vanished, right? Okay, this is the derivative of the function given. I just arrange this one, minus, I just change the power to positive, so that I have to bring this one to the denominator, d square, right? This is dy over dx. Now with this derivative function, we will try to find out the stationary point. For that we have to equate dy over dx, that means to this derivative function to 0, right? So I am going to find the stationary points. For that I equate dy over dx to 0. So I write minus, actually I can't equate the denominator, so I just want to equate the numerator according to this. So minus is equal to 0, right? No need to take the denominator. So x is equal half. Here the answer is x equal half. That means there is only one stationary point for this graph, that is x equals half, right? So I just find out the point here, when x equals, before I go to check whether this is maximum or minimum, I just find out the y coordinate. So when x equals half, we'll find out the y coordinate. To find the y coordinate, you have to use the initial function, right? It is half. If I use this one, for that, it is half squared means 1 over 4 minus half minus 6, right? We'll try to simplify this. So I can take the common denominator 4 here, so I can write that 4 here. The answer becomes minus 25, right? Okay. So the respective point, the stationary point is what? Half comma minus 4 over 25. Now we have found the stationary point. Next thing, we want to decide whether this is maximum or minimum. For this case, I am going to use the first derivative test. to apply the first derivative test, we should find out the regions, right? Regions along the x-axis, right? To find out the regions, we are taking the stationary point x equal half at the separator of the x-axis, because only one point is there. Therefore, we can find only two regions, right? Okay. So I just draw the x-axis like this, and then I separate this x-axis using this x point, that is half, right? Because only one point. Now you can see that x-axis has been separated into two regions. This region I can name as x less than half, and this region I can name as x greater than. Now I'm going to find what the sign of the behavior of the function actually as per the derivative test. That means I'm going to find the sign of dy over dx, right? Here is the place where you can see the function. So we find dy over dx, right? Okay. Now look at the denominator here. In the denominator there is a complete square. That means the sign of the denominator obviously positive, right? So this is positive, and there is minus in front of the numerator part. So I write that minus also, and we'll find out the sign of the bracket. Now for that I choose a value which is in this range. So x less than half mean I take very easy number, that is 0. I take 0 here. If I put 0, you can see this part will be vanished. That means minus 1 will be left there. That means the sign of the bracket will be minus. So now if we multiply these signs, minus minus become plus, and plus plus, that means greater, right? So in this region the derivative function gets positive, and then we'll find out the other side. So we know that the sign of the denominator is positive, and there is a minus in front of the factor, and I choose a value which is in this region. X greater than half mean very easily I take 1, right? If I take 1, if I put 1 here, 2 times 1 become 2, so 2 minus 1 mean 1. That means this factor becomes plus. Now if we multiply these three signs, we get the answer negative, right? That means if I draw the sketch for this, in this from here to here region, the derivative greater mean it is increasing, the function is increasing. So I can draw this kind of shape. So this is the stationary point, and taking a turn, what will happen? Dy over dx gets negative mean it is decreasing. So this kind of shape I can draw. That means this point represents the minimum point, right? That is the way how we can apply the derivative, first derivative test. Now we found this point is a maximum point, right? Therefore I conclude, therefore half comma minus 4 over 25 is a maximum point. We write the maximum point, right? Because only one turning point is there, therefore I write this one as the maximum point. Now, as in the first step, we found the turning points. Only one turning point is there, that is half comma minus 4 25, that is a maximum. Now, you have a little idea about the graph, right? There is a shape like this in the graph, right? Okay, so we will move to the next one. According to the steps, the second step, we want to find the intersecting points with the coordinate axis, right? If I draw a sketch, if this is x and y, right? If I draw a curve like this, now this is a place where we can see the graph cuts the x-axis. So we know how we can write the coordinates. Actually, there you can see y coordinate is 0. There is an x coordinate, for that I just put x, so now 0. What about this intersecting point? There you can see x is 0 and there will be an answer for y, right? To find the intersecting with x-axis, right? To find the intersection with x-axis, especially you can see y coordinate is 0, right? And here x coordinate is 0. Now I just write like this: when x is equal to 0, I am going to find the y coordinate. For that I need to have the initial function, right? So I will move to the above slide. With the initial function, it is 1 over x plus 2, x minus 3, right? The initial function is that. So I just write it is x plus 2, x minus 3. Now I just put the value 0 here. If I put 0 here, you can see the answer I get 1 over 6, right? So the point where the graph cuts the y-axis, 0 comma minus 1 over 6, right? So I just write that point is 0 comma minus 1 over 6. And same manner we will try to find when y equals 0, right? When y equals 0, that means I have to equate y to 0, right? So now if you look at this rational function, actually we can't find such a relative x value for this, right? So actually from this we can conclude that there is no intersection between x-axis and the curve, right? There is no intersection, right? So if I write the equation become like this. So, right? So that means from this function actually we can't find x. That means there is no intersection with x-axis, right? Only that point we can pick. That means intersection with y-axis and the curve, right? Intersection with y-axis, right? Only one point is there. The next one, third thing we want to find the vertical asymptotes, right? So the function, you can see this is the function. To find out the vertical asymptotes, this thing I already explained you when we were doing the theory of limits. Anyway, what you should do, you have to equate the denominator of fx. That means if the function is a rational function, there will be, most probably there will be vertical asymptotes. To find vertical asymptotes, you just equate the denominator 0, right? So the denominator of the rational function is that means x plus 2, x minus 3 should be equal to 0, right? From this we know how to solve. So x equals minus 2. The other one is x equals plus 3, right? Therefore, we can conclude x equals minus 2 line, right? X equal minus 2 line means that is parallel to y-axis, which is passing through the point x equals minus 2, and the line x equals 3 are vertical asymptotes. What is the next thing we should do? We have to check the behavior around the vertical asymptotes, right? Right. To check the behavior, we have to apply the theory of limits. That means I just try to draw. This is the Cartesian plane. One vertical asymptote is x equals minus 2. The other one is x equals 3. right? To find out the behavior of the graph in this side and also in this side, right? To check that, we use the theory of limits. This is the way how we want to check limit x. Now the first, I take the first vertical asymptotes -2, right? Limit x goes to -2. We say this side is negative side. We're going to find the behavior of y function. And the second thing, we want to find limit x goes to -2 from the positive side, from this side, what will happen to the function. We want to find that. And the next thing we want to find here, what limit x goes to the second vertical asymptote is at x equals 3. X goes to 3 from negative side, the behavior of y, and then we want to find limit x goes to 3 from the positive side, y goes to where, right? So if we can find these 4 limits, I can check the behavior, right? So actually once we found these turning points and the intersecting point, we can have a certain idea about the graph, right? So what actually we can do, we can just try to sketch the graph. According to that one also we can have the idea about these limits. Anyway, I just try to explain you this limit, right? Okay. To find the answer of this limit, I do like this. Now x goes to -2 from the negative side. That means we have to check this side. So from this side, I just take 2 points. Actually 2 points should be very close, right? If I do take very close numbers, they will become decimal. So handling decimal is very difficult. Therefore, I just take like this. I take close number as -3, the other number as -4, right? Now what I do here, I just replace these values to the initial function, right? To the initial function, and then I just try to find out the answer, that means y coordinate, right? So if when x equals -3, right, you can use the initial function. What is the initial function here is, right? You can use the initial function to find out the y value from here. So that's y value. I can write it is actually 0. And then when x equals -4, if I find y 0.07, right? You can do this rough work in a separate paper. Don't bring this rough work to the answer sheets, right? Now if I mark these 2 points, when x equals -3, the y coordinate is 0.11, right? 0.11, and then when x equals -4, y coordinate is 0.07. So 0.11 is a higher number than 0.07. So if I mark 2 points, right, I just guess and mark like this. Another point should be down to this one because it is 0.07. Now you can see the shape, right? The function is increasing. When x goes to -2 from the negative side, when it goes to negative -2, you can see the function, the shape of the graph is increasing, right? That means we can conclude that when it is close to -2, the function goes to which infinity? This side having the positive, so it goes to positive infinity. So the behavior, right? I can mark like this. Behavior like this, right? It's increasing up to now. That is one shape of the one side of the graph. And if you look at this one, right? Okay, I just leave this part and I just check this one, because once we mark the maximum point, actually we can have the idea about this too, right? So without wasting time for these rough work, once we doing this question step by step, if we can mark the points and we have the understanding about this shape of the curve, actually we can fill these things later also, right? Anyway, without wasting for the rough work, right? So what I do, I just check the last one here, okay? Just check the last one. Limit x goes to 3 from positive side. That means this side. So to explain, I use 2 points here. I take very close 2 points. One is 4, the other one is 5. Right? If I take these 2 points, if you put these values into the initial function, right? Initial function, you will receive this kind of a shape, right? You can do this kind of a rough work, and you can see that the shape of the graph will be like this, right? That means the function will go to the positive infinity in this side, right? So the balance we can find actually from the final sketch. Actually before that we want to find one more thing. The last step here, I just skip the previous one, but we will go back. Finding the horizontal asymptotes. To find the horizontal asymptote, we should follow this limit when x goes to positive. Now we checking what will happen to the function when x goes to positive infinity and the negative infinity, right? For that, you know the theory of limit, how to find the answer of this. So I just do that. Limit x goes to positive or negative infinity. I just expand the bracket here, that is x squared minus x minus 6. The next step, I just what I do, I just divide all the numerator and the denominator by x squared. So 1 over x squared. If I divide this with x squared, it is minus 1. And if I divide x with x squared, the answer will remain 1 over x, and minus, if I divide 6 with x squared, it is minus x squared, right? Now you can see when x goes to positive or negative infinity, the value of this numerator goes to 0, right? Value of this term also goes to 0. This one also goes to 0. That means the answer will be 0 over 1, that means 0. That means this graph is having a horizontal asymptote, and actually y equals, we found the behavior of y, that means horizontal means you know this side, that means the name of the line we can write y equals 0. Therefore we can conclude like this. Y is equal 0 is a horizontal asymptote. Right. Now we will move to the diagram sketch. Right. Now earlier we found these things, right? Actually when you are doing this kind of question, each and every steps you should do around the graph, right? While you are doing that the steps, you should mark the points and the shapes, right? So step by step start to draw the sketch, right? Not like this, right? So I want to find out the initial things, I want to go back. Anyway, I have those information on my hand, I just mark the information. But when you are doing a question, keep all the things around the graph and just mark, right? So already we found these things. There is a maximum. The maximum is at half comma minus 4 over 25, right? So actually minus 4 over 25 is minus 0.16, right? So with that idea, half, actually this is the vertical asymptote, it is x equals, this is x equals minus 2, and this vertical asymptote is x equals minus 3, right? Now here the maximum point is half comma minus, now half somewhere here, this is minus 3, sorry, this is plus 3, plus 3, so here 2 and 1, half somewhere here, half comma minus, so that point I'll mark somewhere here, okay, so I name that one as half comma minus 0.16, right? Actually I got 4/25, so I just find the answer in this way, and then this is the maximum, and also there is a point of intersection with y-axis we already found, that is 0 comma minus 1/6, right? Minus 1/6 is a value which is greater than this value, so that point somewhere here, it is very close to this one, actually can't draw somewhere here, it's very close, so I just mark that point like this, it is 0 comma minus 1/6, right? Now this is the maximum, so the shape of the graph I just try to draw like this, right? This is the shape of the graph, this kind of a shape, right? And already we found the graph which is in this side, right? When x goes to -2, from the negative side, you saw that previously I drew this kind of a shape, right? This goes to positive infinity, and also I found when I am discussing about the vertical asymptotes, when the graph comes to x equals 3 from the positive side, the shape of the graph, you saw that it's go like this, right? Now you can see that in this region we have drawn the graph, and also this side also. Okay, now we want to continue these two sides, right? That means actually there is no intersection with y-axis because it is asymptote, and also no more turning points. That means this line should extend to this direction, right? And this line should extend to this direction. This is a vertical asymptote, and if we go back to the behavior around the vertical asymptotes, actually I can extend the graph like this and also extend the graph like this. What is the behavior around the vertical asymptote? From this side, the function goes to negative infinity, and for this vertical asymptote, in this side, function goes to negative infinity, right? Anyway, those requirements you should fill. Here, I just leave these two without finding in this way, right? Actually, in the exam paper, you will be given at least 5 marks for checking the behavior around the vertical asymptotes, right? Anyway, when we are sketching, we can have the idea about the graph. So likewise, you can fill these things. Anyway, the procedure should be we should fill these 4 first, and we go for the graph. But to save the time, we can do like that also, right? Okay. Now, actually, this is the shape of that complicated graph. If I write the function again to remind, y equals 1/x plus 2. The other one is x minus 3, right? So this is the shape of that graph, very complicated, only one maximum point and 2 asymptotes, vertical asymptotes, and the y-axis, right? X equals 0 line also, an asymptote, right? This is the way how we can sketch the complicated graph. Here I use the first derivative next, right?